Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Levy. I work for a company called ICCS. We have done, you've seen a lot of the people who work for us floating around the office, whether it was while we were doing construction or now. My main concern right now is the phone system. We will be doing training on your phone system. Most of you I know are thinking, well, what's the big deal? The phone rings, I pick it up, I say hello, and I hang up. And I want to make a phone call, I press 9. If you knew that you press 9, and then that's it, right? So we're going to go through the lesser known features, but are features that most of you should be using on a regular basis so that you can easily and properly transfer calls, conference calls, have a conference bridge, which for those of you who have the sheets of paper, the last 3 pages of the thing are the conference bridge instructions. For the most part, most of the questions that you have will be answered during the training. If you can hold your questions till we get towards the end, and then we'll have a question section, just because a lot of the stuff ends up being explained anyways. Most of you should have these reference guides that I gave out. For those of you who don't, I will be emailing the digital copy of it to Matt, and he can distribute it to you either tomorrow or Monday. Your extensions have changed. Although your extensions still start with a 2, we were not able to match up any of the extensions. You all have extensions that now match the last 3 digits of your new direct number, which we'll get to your direct numbers shortly, but there will be an extension list that will be given out as well. You'll follow the instructions that I give you to set up your voicemail and your phone once you go back to your desk, and we should be available tomorrow and possibly on Monday as well to answer questions that you have. As you know, we installed the phone system today as you've been moving in. We're going to prepare for the phone system for being ready by training you, teaching you how to record your name, which is used for system greetings, how to record your greetings should there be something that you want to do. We'll go through the options there as well. Your old system is still up and running upstairs in the old office, and it will be running there till around 9:15 tomorrow morning. So Matt has requested that tomorrow morning when you come in, take a stop upstairs if you're expecting any phone calls over between when you left your desk an hour or 2 ago and the end of the day, just to make sure that you don't have any messages that are there so that you can clean them up and you don't end up finding out in 2 weeks that you missed an important phone call. Everybody should have seen, if they got to their desk already, a brand new phone, which looks like the phone that's over there. And the new system can notify you of voicemails via email, depending on if management, and I use that term not knowing exactly who makes the decisions, but if management decides that that's something that they want set up, that can be set up. This is the picture of the phone, which you all have, so we'll skip that. Everybody, this is the most...
Definitely set that up, by the way.
What? Okay, we'll set that up. No problem. Everybody, this is one of the most important things that you're going to do. There's a label that looks like this, except instead of the X's, there is a 1, 0, 1, it goes from 101 up to 142. There's a label that looks exactly like that stuck to the side of your phone. When you get to your phone the first time, it's going to look like this. It's going to say enter extension and press enter or OK. The extension that you're entering there is the extension number that is on the label that you have on your phone. This extension number is just so the phone can physically talk to the phone system. Unlike your old system, which is a Panasonic system upstairs, where the phones are physically connected to a port of the phone system, and that's how the phone system knows it's trying to talk to it. Your system now has IP phones, and these phones need that base extension so that it knows it's talking to the system. Once you put that in, okay, I copied the same picture instead of the other picture that I meant to. I apologize. But basically, once you put that in, you will be asked for a password. The password is 1234. Very simple. That is only a password to log into the extension, nothing to do with voicemail. Once you do that, the picture that was supposed to be here was a picture that says not logged in on the top. Once you've logged into your base extension, you're over here at the top of the screen. It will say in big caps letter that's highlighted, not logged in. If you come to your phone and it says that, it means that you need to log into your extension. That would be the extension that starts with a 2. You'll put in your extension, which we will give you all your extensions at the end of the training. I'll pull up the list and we can give it to you. You will put in your extension and then it will once again ask for the password, and the password is 1234 again. Once you do that, you will be logged into your phone, and your phone will be at what is called its home screen, which is this screen right here. You notice there's an extension number over here, your name is over here, and then there's all these buttons over here which we're going to go through. It is important, I took the list that was given to me with this spelling that was handwritten, I apologize if I misspelled anybody's name. If you go to your phone, you log in and you see that your name has an extra N, or it has an E instead of an I, or there's something wrong with your name, please come find me. I can make the change in about 20 seconds. We'll change it and we'll fix it. Just, I apologize in advance if I messed up your name. I spelled Zelouf correctly though. That I know. Okay, so everybody, when they come to their phone, they're going to see this main screen which has on the left side where it says call 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sorry, I'm standing in your way, but call 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the right side, part 1, part 2, and DND. Your call 1, 2, 3, 4 represent simultaneous calls that your phone can be handling, but only your phone. I don't know on the old system if you had lines where you could pick up line 1, pick up line 2, and it was corresponding on all the phones. It's not the way it works anymore. You're using internet phone lines as well. So the call appearances that you have on your phone are specific to your phone and don't correlate to the other phones. So you could be on call 1 talking to somebody, you could have call 2 on hold, and call 3 and 4 are calls that are ringing in. And those are your 4 calls that you're simultaneously handling on your extension. If for some reason you get a 5th call, that call will go directly to your voicemail. If anybody finds that they are regularly missing calls because they're handling 5 calls at a time, let me know. I will make a special exception. We will add a 5th call appearance. I don't expect that will happen. It hasn't happened to me yet. Your call appearances, so those are your calls. Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 and Part 2 are system-wide hold. So if you're on a phone call, let's say in here, someone calls here, and Danny, just because this is your office, Danny's on the phone and he wants to go to a different office to continue picking up the call. So he will put it on part 1. The part appearances do correlate and are not specific to the phone. They correlate to all the phones in the office. So if you go ahead and you hit part 1 on your phone, every single phone in the office will have part 1 blinking on their side. On your side, it will be green where you parked it. On the other side, where it's just blinking, it will be blinking red. Something to keep in mind, just because you look down at your phone and you notice that part 1 or part 2 is blinking, does not mean that someone parked a call for you. Unless someone tells you pick up part 1 or part 2, it probably is not a call.
We have 2 options for that?
Again, part 1 and part 2 is more than enough. Again, if we find that we need more, we will add them, but you'll see that with transferring and with conferencing, you really should not need more than this. Again, I have companies with 120 employees that have 2 part appearances, but you'll see through the rest of it if this is something that's going to be an issue. Your park appearances would also be used if you don't want to transfer because you're not sure if someone's in their office, or you saw them walk past you in the opposite direction of their office and you want to page them throughout the office and tell them to pick up the call. You can now basically go to your phone, and we're jumping ahead a little bit, but if you hit star, star, star on your phone, that is the paging option. It will page all the phones in the office, and you can say, Joe, pick up part 1, and then any phone that Joe's near, you can go to, hit part 1. When you hit the park appearance to pick up a park call, it will show on the screen the number that is parked there, so if you happen to know who was on the call, you'll be able to see it. And then this button right here, underneath where it currently says read that on this picture, would say connect. You hit the connect button and you are then on the phone with them. You can then repark it, you can transfer it from there. DND is exactly what it sounds like. DND is do not disturb. If you put up your phone on do not disturb, if you put it on DND, no calls will get through. You'll notice there's a G in the corner over there. If you're on do not disturb, right next to that G will be the letter N, which reminds you that you are on do not disturb. Additionally, if you are on do not disturb and you pick up the handset, you'll hear what sounds like a busy signal, or what we call a broken dial tone, which is reminding you that your call is on do not disturb. It does the same thing if you're on forward, which is the next thing, which is on the next screen. Your phones have one physical screen, but you have arrow buttons to go to additional screens, which there are 3 of on all of your phones. I like to describe that the buttons, the way the buttons work on the phone is very similar to an ATM. I do apologize, I have not perfected the money coming out of them, but as far as the buttons, when you come to an ATM, you have those 4 buttons on either side of the ATM. You put in your card, it asks you for a PIN, it asks you if you want to continue in English or Spanish, and depending on what button you push, it then proceeds to the next screen. The buttons stay the same and the options change. So the same thing on the phone. If you use this arrow button right here, your right arrow button, you'll get to your second screen, which looks like this. Your second screen, we have 4 features that are on that screen. There's forward, follow, twinning, and log out. Forwarding is what you would use to forward your calls unconditionally, that if anybody calls your extension, it forwards to another external phone, a cell phone, a landline, whatever it is. You hit that forward button, you put in 91 and the 10-digit extension that you want to forward to, and your calls will be forwarded. You can see that when you're forwarding, the light next to it, the light right over here lights up, and you know that you're forwarding.
Does it come in with a call number of the person that's calling you or your office?
Excuse me, forwarding does not. Forward will show you the number from the office. Follow, we'll get to where you can see the caller ID. Follow is the feature that is used for following you within the office. When you follow yourself in the office, if you were sitting here at your phone and you're going to be sitting in the conference room for a few hours and you want your calls to follow you in there, you hit the follow button, you put in the extension of the conference room, and then your calls, you would hit save. Again, the follow light would turn on, and then you would be able to take your calls into the office over there, and they would automatically ring there. And normally when you get a call, over here it shows the caller ID in the blank space, and where your name is, it shows the number that's calling. After the number that's calling, if you're following, after the number that's calling, you'll see a little arrow, and then you'll have your name. So if you have 3 people who are all going to be in the conference room, they're all having their calls following there, when you look at the screen, you'll see that so-and-so is calling, and they're calling for, and it'll show after that arrow who they're calling for, so that you can each pick up your calls yourselves. The twinning button is what, Dan, you asked about this before, I think. You asked about twinning. Twinning is where you have the ability to have calls ring on both your office phone and your cell phone or an external phone simultaneously. My calls, for example, most people have my office number. When they call my office number, even if it happens to be 6:30 in the morning, which just happened, it rings on my cell phone. Then you can turn twinning on and off. There are twinning time profiles that you can set if you need to, but for the most part, when you twin your calls ring to your cell phone and your office phone.
Why would you twin it? Why would you ever forward and not just twin?
That's a good question. Because if you don't want it ringing in the office, if you know that it's automatically going to your cell phone and you don't need it to be in the office, you might forward. But yes, most people would generally twin. Some people prefer forwarding. It's a feature that we put on because it's there. But twinning, and I know that I date myself, though this looks like a room with people my age or maybe slightly older. There was a movie out in the 90s called The Negotiator with Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey. And Samuel L. Jackson insists that Kevin Spacey speak to him, and he's the only person he will speak to. And he does this thing where back then it was like legendary that they were able to pretend that such a thing would happen, where he's on the phone and then you see him quickly switch, and he switches to the actual phone that was in the tent where they were negotiating from. And Samuel L. Jackson still hears the click, but he appreciates that he tried or whatever. So with twinning, the reason that I'm telling this phenomenal story plotline is twinning works the same way. Where if you do get a call that is twinned to your cell phone as you were walking into the office, or you were on the other side of the office and you walk back to your desk, you can simply pick up your desk phone, it will automatically transfer right back, something like literally seamlessly to your desk phone where you can then put your cell phone down.
And you do see caller ID.
And you do see caller ID. I'll tell you what you need to do. The code, instead of putting 9, you put 8. But we'll go through why you're putting 9 and 8 anyways. So basically, twinning works seamlessly where you can do that. Again, it works in the other direction as well. If you're sitting at your desk and you've been on hold with tech support, or you're holding for an airline or whatever it is for an hour, and your 5 o'clock call is now sitting and now it's 6 and then it's 6:15 and you want to leave the office, you can hit the twinning button while you're on that call on your desk phone, and it will transfer that call to your cell phone. And then you can just walk out the door and continue your call without losing your place in whatever queue you were in. One thing, the bottom thing there is log out. So if you remember at the beginning of the training, I spoke about logging into your base extension, and then there's logging into your actual extension. And this is another reason why there's a base extension and your actual extension. When you have your base extension set up, and the phone is not logged in, you're basically sitting there and anybody can log into that phone. So if for whatever reason, someone's, Danny's office, they're fixing something in the ceiling and he needs to move to another office for the day, rather than using the follow feature, which used to be multiple people going into an office, he can go to any phone in the office, hit that log out button, which will log them out of the extension that's logged in there. It will go back to not logged in. on the screen, and then you can log in as yourself at the desk anywhere, whether it's a conference room or someone else's office, and you have the ability to work as if you're there. It's the same thing that you would do if you were working from home, or when we set up LA and New Jersey, if you go to LA for 3 days and you're working in the office there, you can sit at a desk, you can log into that phone as yourself, and that applies for anybody who does travel between the sites. So you don't have to worry about, well, today I'm sitting at extension 400. Yesterday I was sitting at extension 325. You can always have your extension, and people can simply find you where they expect you to be. Again, if you have twinning, it's not a problem because it'll ring your cell phone. Once you pick up the phone to start a call, so if you notice these buttons here, redial and features. Redial is, I'm sure you can all figure out, redial brings up a list of your last 10 digits that you dial and gives you the ability to redial it. Features is if you're very, very bored and have nothing to do, because I'm sure all of you sit around doing nothing all day, but if you get bored and you want to play with the features of the phone, that's the button that you push. But when I tell people about the features button, I also tell them about this little button that has a picture of a telephone on it. Because that picture, the telephone button brings you back to your home screen. So if you went in, playing around and looking through all the features of the phone, and then you discover that you want to just not do anything, if you hit that phone button, it will take you back to your main screen. Once you get on a call, those 4 buttons on the bottom switch to have these 4 options: hold, conference, transfer, and drop. Hold is basically the same way that the call appearances are only for your phone. Hold is only for your phone. So you put somebody on hold if you want them to hear hold music rather than background music, background noise, or your heavy breathing as you go under your desk to find something that fell down while you're having your phone call. Hold would be if you just want to put them on hold, go out of the office, take care of something, and come back. But if a call is on hold, you have to pick it up at that extension. There's no way to pick up a held call anywhere else in the office. We skipped a drop. Drop is the equivalent of picking up the handset and hanging it up. Exactly what it sounds like. It's very nice if you're switching between calls. Conference and transfer. Conference is for what we call ad hoc conferencing. You're on the phone with somebody, you want to conference in somebody else. You hit the conference button. As soon as you hit that, you will hear another dial tone. You dial 9 and the 10-digit number of the person that you want to conference in. When they pick up, you hit conference again. It completes the conference, and then everybody is on the call together. When you are on a conference, this button right here that says drop will switch, and it will instead say details. You can then hit that details button, and it will list for you everybody who's on your conference call. You can then drop off the person that you want to drop off the call, whereas it used to be that you were on a conference call, and when you were almost done with the call, you'd say, Joe, call me right back, which everybody knew was code for, Joe, let's talk about the third person on the call, without them being on the call. You don't have to do that anymore. You can say, okay, and if you both know that you're going to you can say stay on, which is almost the same thing, or you don't have to say anything, but you can go and just drop off the person that you don't want, and it works the other way as well. I'm sorry, I don't know your name in the red dress, but I believe you're a receptionist. So, Ada, if you get Adi, I'm sorry, there is an Ada here. Yeah, I was right, I was looking at it. See, I remember some of the names that are on the list. Okay, Adi, if Danny calls you from the road, and he's, from his cell phone, and he's speaking to you, and he wants you to get ICCS on the phone, because he needs to deal with something that he's dealing with, and he calls you, so you hit conference, you call ICCS, you get you on the phone, you say, I got Danny for you. You hit the conference button again, and me, you, and Danny are now on the phone together. Problem is, you have much better things to do than to sit on the call while we're there. You can go to that details button, find yourself, drop yourself off the call, and we continue our call without anybody else being bothered. A nice feature to continue a conference call without anybody on the physical system being connected still. If you're going to conference, you can conference as many people as you want. I mean, you have 23 phone lines, I think. But you can conference as many people as you want using the ad hoc way. But when you're doing a much bigger planned conference, you'll use a conference bridge, which is listed in the paperwork that I gave you, which we will go over at the end. You're transferring. There are 3 different ways to transfer a call. Yes, I know that sounds like, what is it? It's just transfer a call. There's a blind transfer. That would be great. I had a water bottle someplace, but I don't know where.
Last name is so mine.
Sorry. transferring a blind transfer. If I get a call and the call is really for the person sitting next to me and they dialed the wrong extension and I am not the person who sits next to me as secretary, so all I'm going to do, I'm going to hit transfer, I'm going to dial their 3-digit extension, and again this button down here says complete on it. So I'm going to hit transfer, dial their extension, hit complete. Then it rings on their phone and it's their problem to listen to it, figure out if they want to pick it up based on the caller ID or let it go to voicemail. The second type of transfer is what's called an assisted transfer. So if I get a call and I dealt with what I need to do, and I need to transfer it to somebody else, I need to transfer it to somebody else so that they can finish up the call or it's being transferred up to a higher level of management and you need to give them the story beforehand, you would do what's called an assisted transfer. So you hit the transfer button, you dial the 3-digit extension of the person that you're trying to transfer to, and you wait. At that point it's ringing, your first call is on hold, and you're transferring the call between yourself, but you're speaking between yourself and the person who you're transferring to. They pick up the phone, say, hi, so-and-so is on the phone, they had an issue, we were dealing with it, we're not sure what's going on, but can you pick up the call? You say yes, you hit the person who's transferring hits the complete button, and the transfer is completed. I can just call me. Explain to me where I am. Thank you. At that point, when the person hits complete, it's important to note there's no pause or ring or beeping or anything that notifies you. Like you don't have time doing the hit complete, so don't say anything about that person under your breath when you think that they haven't been transferred yet. If you say transfer it and they hit complete, you're on the phone with the person. The third way to transfer is if you're transferring to someone's voicemail. Very often you know that someone's not there from the get-go, or you try somebody and you get their voicemail and you want to go back and tell the person, I'm sorry, he's not available, would you like to get their voicemail? They say yes. So instead of transferring it again and letting it ring, and if it wasn't, you're not there, but you don't want to talk to that person, where it rings and you end up accidentally picking it up, or the person has to scream across the office, don't pick up the call, it's that person, who you say you don't want to talk to. If you hit the pound button after transfer, so you hit transfer, pound, the extension, and then complete, it will transfer them directly to voicemail. All of these transfer features and conference features are on that cheat sheet or quick card as we call it, the really colorful one. It's on the left side about a third of the way or half of the way down. And that is transferring and conferencing and putting on hold. One thing to keep in mind, this system does have two very nice things. It has what's called auto hold. So if you're on call 1, call 2 starts ringing, you don't have to press hold and then pick up call 2. You can just hit call 2 and it will automatically put your first person on hold. The system also has what's called, they're not going to get disconnected, exactly. But if you do want to disconnect them, you can hit drop and then hit the second call. Your keypad is what's called the hot keypad. When you can just dial without hitting speaker or intercom or whatever button it is on the Panasonic that you have to hit before you can actually start dialing. I think that's the way it is, yes?
Yeah, you got my speaker first. Yeah.
Right. So now all you need to do, if you hit 9, you'll hear your dial tone, you can continue dialing your number. We'll go down the rest of the buttons. I'm going to try and speed it up because I do realize how oppressively hot it is in here. I'm sorry. You have your messages button. When you push that button, you will get your visual voicemail. That brings up on the screen all of the voicemail options of listening to your calls, checking your messages, forwarding your message to somebody else, etc. On the other side, we already discussed your phone button, which is the button that you use to get back to your main screen. Underneath, you have 3 buttons. The first one looks like a picture of a book. That picture is your contacts button. When you click that, it will bring up anybody who's in any of the speed dials. Once you're in there, if you want to find somebody in the office, especially in the first couple of weeks, if you don't have a printed list, you can hit that button, you can start dialing. Let's say if you were looking for Danny, I'm sorry, you keep me right front and center. You would hit 3-2 and it will bring up anybody who's the first letter of their name starts with D-E-F, and the second letter of the name starts with A-B-C. So Danny starts with D, second letter is A, he would be up there. I don't know if there's anybody else.
Can you automatically merge your contacts into there?
No. There's no, into the phone, there's no merging of contacts.
Can you put your contacts in through the
Yes, you can. So when you're in the contacts button, there is a little thing that says new with a plus sign, and you can click that, and you can add speed dials in there with names, and
But
then
can you do it from like a website, or do you have to do it on that physical phone?
I believe that we can set it up for specific users to do it on the web, on a web page within your intranet. We'll talk about that afterwards. That middle button with the picture of the Avaya A is another place for you to go exploring when you feel that you need to look for how to change something on the phone. Try not to change too many things. And the third one, which is a phone with 3 lines next to it, is your call log. Your call log is, again, exactly what it sounds like. It has a list of all your calls, your missed calls, your incoming, and your outgoing, and has them listed where if you use your arrow button here or your other arrow button, you can go left and right and sort of not merge your field. You can condense the field where it's either all and it will say on top all, or it will say missed, or it will say incoming
You
or
take the
outgoing.
call log and automatically speed dial save it?
You can add them from the call log into your speed dial. As soon as they're in your call log, one of the options, you may have to click the more button, but you hit more, and one of them is with a plus sign that you add it, and then you just make sure they're in. You'll notice that all calls in your call log have a 9 and a 1 in the front of it. That way you can call back from your call log. These two buttons here, speakerphone and headset, exactly what you would think they do. The speakerphone turns on and off the speakerphone. The headset would turn on and off your headset if you have one. Right now, the only person who I think has one is you. If anybody else needs headset, I guess talk to Matt or to Danny, and we will work on getting you one. The right side of the phone has mute and volume up. The mute, again, exactly what it sounds like. It mutes call. The volume controls the volume depending on where you are working on the phone. That's what it controls volume. When you're not doing anything, if you hit the volume button, it controls the ringer volume. If you're on speakerphone, it controls speaker. If you're on the handset, it controls handset. If you're on the headset, it controls the headset volume. That is the phone in a nutshell. Normally, I would go through the quick card that's in front of you. I believe that we discussed everything that's in there, or most of the stuff. The top talks about logging into your phone. Then it talks about dialing out. For the most part, you use 9 or 8. If you use 9, it will show the 221-3131 phone number. If you use 8, it should show your 929-257-02XX number. And again, we'll give you what your direct numbers are and what your extensions are shortly.
So 8 is your extension, 9 is
Correct. Correct.
the 221.
You got here your conference bridge. So if you are doing a scheduled conference, you know that you want 10 people to call in. The last 3 pages of the document that you have explain it to you, but basically, you're going to send everybody this number, 929-257-0300. When they call that number, they will hear a message that says, welcome to the conference bridge. Please enter your room number now. The room number that you set up, if you're calling from inside, you'll just dial 300. So you don't have to call the external number, it's something that's hosted. There is no password for setup, and your 3-digit extension will be your room number. The reason that we tell everybody to use their 3-digit extension is to make sure that if 2 or 3 people are setting up a conference at the same time, that the conference room number that they use is unique. Because if not, if you decide, oh, 200 is an easy number, and someone else says, oh, 200 is an easy number.
You don't have to ever book anything, as long as you know your extension,
Correct.
number, the 300, and your booking.
Correct.
And then if like I had like one of these
Polycom, you can use the Polycom as well.
The Polycom will have a different extension than the house code.
Correct. But you can set it up, you can really set it up using any 3-digit number. We tell you to use your extension to make sure that it is specific to you so that, and again, if you have someone setting up a conference for you, it doesn't matter if they use their extension or your extension. It's just making
Won't
sure.
there be multiple at one time? Is that...
Not necessarily. If you set up a conference for 20 people and then someone else is setting up a conference, unless you have the same person setting up both conferences and they're not smart enough to use 2 different room numbers for the 2 different things, you're going to have different room numbers. So as long as when you're setting up a conference, you use 240 as your room number. When someone else is using the conference bridge, they set it up as 270, you should be fine.
So just one last question. Whoever I set up will call 929. They'll ask them for an internal extension, they'll write 300, or they'll ask them for a room number?
They're going to ask you for a room number.
They're going to ask the person for a room number.
Correct. So if you look at the sheet of paper, it has something text that you can actually grab off the PDF that we'll send you and email it to somebody and just tell them you use room number 222.
So why is that 300?
That 300 is if you're calling into a conference. You don't have to dial the 929 number.
If I'm part of a conference somebody else set up.
Correct. Or if you want to set it up from inside the office. Instead of dialing 929-257-0300, you would just dial 300.
Oh, okay.
Okay? There we go. Voicemail. So, when you go to your phone the first time, you're going to hit *7. Well, after you log into your base extension and your regular extension, you're going to hit *7. *7 is how you log into voicemail for the first time. The reason that you do that is because it records certain things for you that you need to record so that you can set up your voicemail so that you can be found in the directory so that it can announce when people are being transferred to your phone. Here we go. Phone's right there. You can go to your phone, you're going to hit *7. When you hit *7, you're going to hear a nice lady saying to you, welcome to Avaya IP office. Please enter your extension followed by the pound sign. You will put in your extension number, which is somewhere in the 200 range, followed by the pound sign. It will then ask for your password, followed by the pound sign. Your password is blank. And I do have to explain this because someone was asked this after training. Blank meaning there is no password. You just hit pound, not type in the letter B and then L and then A and then N and then K. So you're going to hit pound when it asks for the password. It will then ask you to do two things. It will ask you to set up a new password. The new password should be 4 digits. It cannot be consecutive digits, and it cannot be the same digit. So it can't be 1111, and it can't be 111234. For some reason, it can be 2468, and it could be 98676. But it can't be up, and it can't be the same digit, and it can't be the same as your extension if you try to do a 3-digit.
So someone else puts in the same 4 digits.
That doesn't matter because it's individual to your extension. You could have the same password as long as you put in your extension number first. Once you do that, it will then, the lady will come back on and she will say, as you use IP Office, your name will be used in system greetings and announcements. Press 1 and at the tone, record your name, and then press 1 when you're done again. So it is important when you record your name followed by your extension number. Joe Levy, extension 2213. When someone searches for you in the directory, which they can do from the auto attendant, and they hit 9 and then press 1, and then they type in 326, which is the first 3 letters of the name Danny, it will, 326, it will bring up anybody whose name starts with that, but what it will say is press 1 to select, and then it will play whatever you recorded there. So when it asks you to record your name, don't record a greeting, because then when someone presses your name in the directory, they'll hear, hi, you reached Danny, I'm not available now, and then it's not going anywhere because it's just their name. So just make sure it asks you to record your name and extension. You record your name and extension, and then you press 1 again. At that point, as far as myself, ICCS is concerned, you are done setting up your voicemail. The voicemail will be picked up by a generic message, which says your call is being answered by Avaya IP office, and then it will play that little thing that you did, Joe Levy, extension 2213, then the lady will continue talking, it's not available, please leave a message, etc. Some people like to record a new message every day. I'm not sure, they must be big masochists, but hi, reached Joe Levy. Today is July 28th, I'm not in the office, but it's sunny outside, go enjoy yourself. I've heard one thing happen. In any case, you can choose to record a greeting or not to record a greeting, unless, Danny, you feel differently that no one should or everybody should. The nice thing about this system, and speaking about being a masochist and having to record new greetings all the time, I know that myself personally, it takes 3 or 4 times of recording a greeting till I'm comfortable with the way it sounds. Just the way I am. I didn't slur my words, I didn't, cough in the middle or sneeze in the middle. There wasn't a coworker calling my name in the bathroom. So I finally get it right. And then 3 weeks later, I go on vacation. And when you go on vacation, you usually record a message that says you're not in the office. So it used to be that you had to re-record it again, take all your time recording your vacation greeting, and then you would come back and have to re-record your regular greeting again. Okay? The system has the ability to save up to 9 greetings. So you can record your regular message, get it perfect, and keep it forever. When you go on vacation, you record and activate greeting 2. Then greeting 2 is working. When you come back from vacation, you go ahead and you reactivate greeting 1, which is sitting there perfectly recorded and working. That is your greetings. Remember to clean up your old voicemails tomorrow morning or tonight if you have remote access. I don't know if you do. And keep these quick cards at your desk for future reference. One last very important thing. Over the next few days, we will be here and we will be helping you, at least someone from ICCS. If you do have an issue, this is our email address. Email us. It won't generate a ticket in our system. Someone will get back to you and help you. If you do send an email and someone doesn't get back to you, please do not send another fresh email to that same email address because it will generate a second ticket and then a third ticket. When you email us, you automatically get a response back that says that your ticket was acknowledged. It has a ticket number in that. Reply to that because it will add it to the same ticket. And that's our phone number if you feel that you need to call us because no one's getting back to you. For those of you who are still left here and haven't melted yet, does anyone have any questions?
Is that information in the book?
No, but well, our number is on the top. What?
Now that we have this phone system,
But no.
do it on the phone, not